Today, I will be identifying the mise en scène from my favourite shots taken from 1980s cult classic film The Lost Boys. As you can see, I've got two shots of David here, head vampire, one of him in red lighting, which looks utterly terrifying, and one of him looking a little bit more innocent. Considering his makeup was not like this for the first part of the film, as soon as you look at the shot, you know that it's from a horror film. The mise en scène in this is clear. The choice of lighting is also really significant as it portrays the setting as fearful, dangerous, and is practically part of the reason that David dominates the shots. The lighting is also quite striking as it hits you as soon as you look at the shot, signifying that it is a horror film. The body language displayed in the shot is alarming. It looks as if David is in some sort of confrontation with another character, and it makes his character look more intimidating. And the fact that the camera angle is pointing upwards, it feels as if an audience member, you are experiencing what is happening in the shot. The camera work is so good in this shot, it has helped David display David's character. And most importantly, the makeup in this shot is typical, however, demonstrates the genre very well. His face is light pale colour, but around his eyes you can see black, dark, circulating. It's almost like adding to the spooky makeup he's already got. If you compare this intimidating shot of David transformed into a vampire to the picture on the side of him where he's looking completely innocent, you can see a huge difference, and even lighting too, and it is very noticeable when you first look at both shots. It's like a before and after, and there's so many other different elements in the shot that can show the mise en scène and the genre, and immediately tell us that The Lost Boys is part of the horror genre. This next shot I have taken from another important scene in the film, the scene from the bridge. You can tell just from looking at this capture that this is a dangerous scene in a film. You have characters hanging from a bridge with a really gloomy background with mist rising into the shot. That's what makes this look even more mystifying. If you look at this shot without watching the film, you could tell the genre because of the mise en scène conveyed in it. The lighting, the characters' positioning, and the fact that it is dusk, it is dark outside. Also, remember that the character position is important because you don't have any close ups of their faces or any dress codes. You only have a wide shot of the bridge, so there is very minimal number of visual codes to read off. The most effective bits are the lighting and setting, especially shown within the shots. So you can see they're all hanging from a bridge, you haven't got close ups of their faces, so you can't see how they must be reacting or feeling. The camera angle is pointing upwards to help show the bridge in the shot, the characters, and the dark night sky. This shot is such a mysterious piece from the film, and the scene itself is really tense as they are on a bridge which actually has a train track at the top, which has been seen by people, fans all over the world have gone to visit the location and have seen the bridge itself and the train track that is rising upon the top. Now moving on from the iconic wide bridge shot, we have another one with the Frog Brothers and Sam, who was one of the main protagonists in the entirety of the film. The lighting, the costume, and the facial expressions are very seen and clear in this shot. Watching it made me feel so tense, so excited, but also so fearful, very fearful. The lighting is red, like the first close up that I showed at the start of David, and that's because both shots are in the same part of the film. The lighting demonstrates a very frightening setting, but makeup and costume are quite subverted for the theme and the genre. Especially the clothes that the Frog Brothers are wearing, which are army like uniforms with black stripes under their eyes to make themselves look like they were on a mission or even undercover. You won't guess it's an action or a mystery film from looking at the lighting shown, but it's very clear in the shot. And going back to the lighting in the shot, often red can be associated with love, passion, anger, violence, danger, romance, horror. There's so many other elements and words that red can be associated with, but these are the main things. So when you think of seeing red and lighting in a film, you can think of all these words. But because the boys in the shot look so shocked and afraid, but just a little bit protective over each other, you could see a horror and a violence kind of theme in this shot. Genre-wise, it would definitely be linked to horror or even mystery, but the mise-en-scène in this shot again is quite good, but subverted for horror, but also really transparent in the aspect of the lighting, not so much the costume, but the lighting and the satin and the way that their facial expressions are shown within the range of the shot. Finally, before I wrap this up, I just want to talk about the mise-en-scène in this scene, Drink in Darkness. This is another spotlight scene in a film where Michael drinks the blood that turns him into half vampire. They are based inside a cave with a fire used as a source of light around them. In fact, that satin makes the scene look so much more authentic and true. You would have bumpy stone walls if you look closer to the background detail, and the prop used, i.e., the bottle Michael was drinking from. It makes it look so ancient, and it is quite an eye catcher and matches the vampire theme and genre being signified. For a vampire horror film, the genre is shown differently in this, but also delivered clearly. I also want to point out that the lighting is also typical. The cave has shadows lurking in the corner, but there is light reflected on Michael and David, especially David, and that lighting is causing his face to look pale and outstand more on screen. If you were to look at this clip in the time it was released as a possible teaser or marketing, due to mise-en-scène being a little more converted but also obvious, most people could guess a horror because of the light reflection, characters, facial composure, and props used in the scene. In conclusion, most of the shots that I have looked at today from my favourite cult classic, The Lost Boys, have been seen to show the mise-en-scène very well and deliver the genre to the audience. This leads me to the end of my essay on this fabulous 1980s classic. Thank you for listening.